Well, we got another month, another update. So here is our January 2025 indoor tropical plant update. Let's bring you in and show you how things are looking. So we'll start with the lantana, and what you can tell, I had to move it farther away from the window because it was growing so much. I'm already pruning this multiple times. So I wanted to slow down the growth. So I kind of moved it away from the window from the other plants. And like we talked about, it's always going to try to revert to that shrub form. So it's just constantly picking off these growth points, keep that topiary. As the season goes on, you can see just certain branches just don't make it, like this one. So I want to follow them back to where they meet the healthy stems, prune that piece off. Sometimes it's the whole branch, sometimes it's not. You can see here that this is dead through this one, dead all the way down to right here. And you can see, here's our new growth. So I'm going to cut it right where it meets that new growth. Sometimes they're in the middle right here. Again, new growth point. So it's really just about keeping all this dead wood trimmed throughout the off season. And that's going to give you a much healthier plant as we go into spring. And that should do it for the lantana. So just keep picking off any new growths along the stem, any dead wood. You want to trim those branches off. And if need be, even this new growth, if they start to get too far out, you can just follow them back to a leaf joint and snip it off. So it's still okay to prune new growth too, because these things just like to stretch. In the winter, we're just trying to keep them small and maintained. And when spring and summer rolls around, that's when we let them go crazy. Let's move on to some hibiscus. So for the most part, the topiaries all look really good. You don't have to do much. You can tell they got a lot of buds. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on this one branch. There we got a flower just about ready to open. But you can tell all the leaves are nice and green. So I'm not going to do much to them. I've been watering them about twice a week. Come over to this hibiscus. Looks really good as well. Lots of buds on the top there. Some of the new growth is a little gnarly. Like this and this. Not ideal, but in the winter, things like this can happen with nutrient deficiencies, shortage of lighting, depending on how the plant takes up nutrients. So I'm not entirely worried about it because the color looks good and we are getting some buds, some flowers. That's nice. This one, our double one though, is where I noticed the problem. So let's zoom in. And can you see how this leaf is nice and green? See how that one looks a little yellowy? And if I look under, there's another one right there. Unfortunately, I know what this is. This is the start of spider mites. So here's a leaf I just picked off. And if I zoom in, you can see all these tiny, tiny white marks. That's the start of spider mites. So that's why I say you gotta look for the damage, because it's really hard to notice those things. But when I see a leaf that started to get some feeding onto it, I can tell. You can almost kind of tell some webbing in there. So this one has spider mites, which means there's a good chance a lot of these have at least 1 or 2 on them. So I think what I'm going to do is get myself some Nature's Good Guys live bugs and hang some sachets on it. But I will do a spray in the bathtub, so that way I can show you how I take care of these things. But it's very important to find this early. Here we have our Fiesta hibiscus, the one that was a lot farther behind than the others. So you can still see it's transitioning and losing its leaves, which is okay. So I'm just going to keep picking off the yellowing, brown, dead ones. And so this is what I mean by transitioning. The old leaves start to die off, and I'll slowly pick them off. But then when I look at the new growth, see how nice and green it is? So that shows me that the plant's still doing well. There's another new one. Nice green new leaves. Next, I'll bring you to the mandevillas. Look at these vines. They're growing crazy. Super healthy. This one, just as much. In fact, we gotta constantly watch. They always try to grab onto other things. Leave my butylon alone. Look at those vines. 3, 4 of them at a time wrapped around. That's what I'm looking for. And last but certainly not least is the red tiger butylon. So you can see how much it's stretching. It's all new growth from all the way down here. When I pruned it in the fall, you've seen that video? That's how much it's already grown. But we do have some maintenance. So here's another stem. You can tell that this guy didn't make it. So let's cut him back. And you have the browning leaves. I'm gonna pick them off. These I can tell are just from the old leaves. These are not spider mite damage. So here you can see a dead branch. So I'm just gonna follow it back to where it meets the stem. And I'm gonna stick it off, just like that. And no worries, because we do have a new branch coming out and we'll get another shoot where I just cut. And there she is, all cleaned up, ready for another month. And what I love is look at the buds. There's so many flowers on this. A couple more. Let's do a little check of the eucalyptus seedlings. As we get in, they're looking nice. More weeks and I'll have to transplant them into a bigger pot. So that's the January plant update in a nutshell. Very happy with how everything is looking. Wish I didn't find some spider mites on this one, but I caught them early, so it shouldn't be a big deal. I'll do a video on how I take this to the tub and spray it. So it's a pretty simple process. So I'm just gonna keep doing what I do. I water these plants about twice a week. They are pretty big and they do get a good amount of sun through this window. I fertilize half strength fertilizer once a month. So I won't do that for a few more weeks. Happy growing with your houseplants. If you have any questions, something doesn't look right, leave me a comment, send me a picture. I'll do my best to help you out, and we'll see you around. Thanks for watching.